I am Shane Jones, making headlines tonight. The opening ceremony of the 40th CARICOM Summit underway in St. Lucia. The BWA working to increase the water supply to consumers. The Ministry of Agriculture looking for ways to help farmers cope with drought. And coming up in sports, England becomes the third team to qualify for Cricket World Cup's semi-finals.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
Leading the news at 7, the 40th Heads of Government meeting got underway in St. Lucia this afternoon. The news that progress has been made in advancing the CARICOM single market and economy. The update from outgoing head of CARICOM, Dr. Timothy Harris of St. Kitts and Nevis, who says much of the progress has come in the last 6 months. Dr. Harris told the opening ceremony they finalized an agreement on public procurement, which now needs the signature of the various heads of government. He also complimented Prime Minister Mia Motley, who has lead responsibility for the CSME, for her efforts to advance the work in this area.
The agreement would enable the creation of competitive and non-discriminatory conditions within our single market for access to bidding for public contracts above a certain threshold. When this agreement enters into force, it will open up a significant market for our private sector expansion within member states. However, there are still outstanding issues which we must address if we are to keep pace with the implementation plan to which we have given our blessing.
On the issue of crime and security, Prime Minister Harris says the region must act urgently to fulfill the obligations to which it has agreed. Among these is an agreement on assets recovered from criminal activity.
The special meeting, hosted by the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, Dr. the Honorable Keith Rowley, lead head for security, allowed us to identify concrete steps to combat the scourge of criminal activity. We do not have the luxury of time to introduce the agreed measures as the burden of crime is weighing too heavily on our citizens and residents. The regional approach to each other is critical to providing a safe and secure Caribbean community.
And when the heads settle down to the business of the summit, there could be a proposal for a single Caribbean bank. It's coming from Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown. We get more in the CMC report.
CARICOM countries have been arguing that the threat by banks in developed countries to withdraw correspondent banking services would exclude the region from the global finance and trading system with grave consequences. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown, who is leading the region's response, says CARICOM has made slow progress on the matter. As a result, he says he will propose the creation of a single Caribbean bank.
There may even be the need for us to have a Caribbean bank that is a bank that is owned by various indigenous banks within the Caribbean, and one that could have branches in the, let's say, US diaspora, UK diaspora, Canadian diaspora, in order to provide services to Caribbeans in the diaspora, but at the same time providing corresponding banking to banks within the region, especially the smaller ones. My understanding is that there is an informal threshold of about $1 billion, so that generally speaking, banks that have less than $1 billion, they're almost not bankable for corresponding banking. The irony about it is that most of our banks have less than $1 billion in assets. So it has been a very difficult proposition for us. However, we have decided to raise the ante and to let's increase our advocacy, because corresponding banking in essence is a public global good. So it cannot be looked upon exclusively from the standpoint of risk and return, because in essence, if you were to do that, then you will literally debank certain regions and certain countries.
Incoming CARICOM chairman and host Prime Minister Alan Chastney says he supports the idea. Chastney, however, says there are still some concerns.
The former governor of the ECCB had indicated that he felt the solution was to have all of the indigenous banks form one bank. We think that's going to be very difficult. So what we've been talking about right now is to create one compliance department, because that's the change. You know, the world didn't understand what compliance was before. It's the fastest growing industry in the whole world in terms of compliance, because as you ask one question, it compels you to ask many more questions. In my humble opinion, what has happened is that we've become so intimidated by the loss of correspondent banking that our own compliance agencies have become excessive. And sometimes it's now reducing the size of the amount of money coming in and out of our region.
Some positive news now. Moody's Investors Service has upgraded Barbados foreign and local currency issuer ratings to CAA1 from CAA3. In doing so, Moody's has affirmed the island's foreign currency senior unsecured bond rating at CAA3 and maintained the stable outlook. In giving its reasons for the upgrade, the agency said it reflected the material improvement in Barbados' fiscal and debt metrics and reduced susceptibility to event risk following the restructuring of its local currency debt. The agency said it also reflects the expectation that the improving policy framework and ongoing fiscal and structural adjustment will place government debt on a downward trajectory. Commenting on the news, President of the Barbados Economic Society, Simon Atram, says the credit rating upgrades Barbados has enjoyed over the past year, along with positive IMF reviews, are all indications the country's economy is going in the right direction.
But credit rating agencies do represent a form of objective external oversight, and so their opinion is valuable. And credit ratings also inform Barbados' country risk, that is, how the rest of the world views doing business with us. So an upgrade in the government's credit rating is also useful for improving the reputation of Barbadian businesses.
The Barbados Water Authority is adding millions of gallons of water to the distribution network. To achieve this, it has been working with the Ionics freshwater desalination plant located on the mighty Guyana Highway. General Manager Keith Roy Halliday says work started last Thursday. However, several problems resulted in the plant being taken offline, affecting thousands of people. The BWA has apologized for the inconvenience. Pumping has since resumed, and Mr. Halliday says the Ionics plant is fully operational. The BWA official was a guest on CBC TV8's Morning Barbados.
We do not expect any outages as a result of that.
Okay.
What we have cautioned, and will continue to caution everyone as well, though, as a consequence, is that this fix really was put in place to allow us to be able to produce additional water and put additional water into the system. This means that initially the network distribution system will be highly pressurized. And so our caution really is around the fact that as we start to send more water into the system, those areas in the system that may be weak, that we may be unaware of, or those mains that are old and that are subject or susceptible to breakage, we may have some interruptions in that regard.
Okay, sticking with that water supply topic, we're hearing tonight that the Ministry of Agriculture is moving to help farmers affected by drought. That's according to Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Indar Weir, who has specifically referred to farms located at the River Plantation Land Lease Project in St. Philip. Minister Weir recently returned from the 41st Food and Agriculture Organizations Conference in Rome. Now, he met with several high-ranking officials of the FAO as well as the International Funding Organization for Agricultural Development.
To see how we can get technical support in terms of carrying out the study that was done at River, to acquire funding for that project so that we can put in the infrastructure and bring a water solution to the farmers at River, so that they will hopefully never ever have to complain about the supply of water. And I'm hoping to do this in the very short term. But my reality is that this is something that should have been done long ago. And then if you go to the farmers at Spring Hall in St. Lucie, the same thing should have been done.
Minister Weir was speaking to the media on the sidelines of ICA's annual accountability seminar at the Ministry of Agriculture in Graham Hall. He says droughts aren't the only challenges associated with climate change.
That's the reason why the feed program was launched. because we recognize that we have to change our approach to agriculture, in that we need now to look at less water intensive units for farming to continue. And so that would happen on the arrangement we have for farmers to have freight farms supported by the government on a lease to own arrangement. And that will address any issue we face with droughts, but equally it would address issues that we will face with climate change and climatic events as well, because those units can withstand, I'm told, up to a Category 4 hurricane.
Minister of the Blue Economy and Maritime Affairs Kirk Humphrey has responded to pleas from the public for even more time to prepare for the ban on plastics, which took effect on Monday. He says his ministry has been very accommodating since discussions began last September.
At that time, we felt that January 1st, 2019 would have been the ideal time to do the ban. They said, Minister, no, we need 6 months at least. You need to give us 6 months. If you give us 6 months, then we will be in a position to get rid of all of our plastic and polystyrene. That pushed us in September, therefore, to April 1st, which was the original ban date. April 1st came and they asked for more time. Could you give us more time? Because we are a reasonable government, we like to think, we said, okay, we've heard you, we've extended the ban, therefore, for an additional 3 months, which brought us to now. People are still asking for more time. I believe as a government that we have been extremely fair.
One of the long-standing providers of sixth form education, Harrison College, is seeking to prepare fifth-year students much earlier for advanced studies. The school says this is necessary given competition from other sixth form institutions. The number of sixth form schools has increased from 4 to 11. One method Harrison College has been utilizing to remain relevant is its open house program. Rianne Phillips reports.
Many see sixth form as a stage to prepare 16 to 18-year-olds for university life. During that 2-year period, many students can also receive private, national or international scholarships and other awards. Scores of students and parents attended the 2019 open house at Harrison College would have been told about some of the benefits of attending a sixth form institution.
The SAT exam is an exam which tests English and math, and it's a US exam required for students who are desirous of pursuing studies in the United States of America only. That exam occurs in December. The date I can't remember off the top of my head. At Harrison College, however, we do have a program where we guide students for the prepare students for the SAT program starting in September, and that's from September to December is a 10-week process.
During the session, all scholars, including Joshua Hines and Brian Blackman, spoke about their experiences at that school.
The quality of education that I received at HC and sixth form is some of the best I've experienced in my life. I've been exposed to so many opportunities. I've traveled as far as Thailand representing Harrison College.
And what Harrison College has taught me is that you need to be disciplined, and that has helped me in law because in law you have to not only dress well, you have to act in a certain way, and Harrison College has definitely taught me that.
And many of the fifth form students believe HC is the best choice for achieving their career goals.
I want to do architectural studies, but here also offers art and design.
I decided to choose Harrison College because also they offer geography and environmental science, and I want to be an environmental scientist or a meteorologist.
I was told of the welcoming environment they have from Harrisonian staff and students, and I would like to be a part of it.
Harrison College will only be accommodating 125 students this year. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
WhatsApp and Facebook users in Barbados and around the world were frustrated today as the two social media platforms stopped working properly. The Facebook issue appeared to be specific to certain features. Users have been reporting that some posts or photos were not showing up. The problems came at the same time as the similar issue was on WhatsApp. Users also experienced problems with files not showing up. Checking in with our regional neighbors now, Caribbean Airlines plans to add more direct flights to Jamaica from other Caribbean destinations. Chief Executive Officer Garvin Madeira says the decision is a result of the feedback from the direct flights between Barbados and Jamaica. CVM TV reports.
Shorter flying times between Caribbean territories will soon be a reality as Caribbean Airlines is planning more routes for travelers. The latest destination is Cuba.
It forms a part of our strategic intent. We are very clear. We're targeting intra-Caribbean, and that's where our focus will be. So it starts today with Kingston to Barbados. Tomorrow we're going to be launching Kingston to Havana, and we have some other routes that are coming up pretty soon that will help that connectivity throughout the region. But Kingston Barbados for us is a representation of that connectivity that we intend to improve on.
Chief Executive Officer of Caribbean Airlines, Garvin Medera, goes further to note that travelers want to be able to reach their destination quickly while being charged reasonable fees. He says plans are underway to make this happen.
What we hope to do on a longer term basis is stimulate that traffic route so that we have people seeing the advantages of moving between islands and potentially visiting each island, spending more, and again impacting on the economics of the markets.
Guyana has approved the removal of jail time for small amounts of ganja. The move has been welcomed in some sections of the CARICOM state. TVG reports.
The Ministry of the Presidency has announced that Cabinet approved a proposal to remove custodial sentences for 30 grams or less of marijuana. This issue has been in the public domain for years, but the coalition administration failed to address it until now as elections approach. The existing Narcotic Drugs Act of 1988, which criminalizes marijuana use, does not have discretion when dealing with matters above a certain level. It mandates a 3-year jail sentence for persons caught with the substance. Government has now moved to remove custodial sentences for persons found to be in the possession of small amounts of the drug. This means that persons found guilty of possession of small amounts will not be jailed but will face alternative sentencing. The move by the government at this time, however, is considered to be in breach of the Constitution of Guyana.
Hundreds of unemployed Caymanians will gain employment through the government. They're being hired through a summer work program to help clear the territory's beaches of the sargassum seaweed. The program runs twice yearly. We hear more in this Cayman 27 report.
Public Works instructor Eric Green says more people have turned out to register compared to last year.
The numbers has actually increased to 450. On average, we were a bit lower, but we have seen that persons are actually being more included in it. We have returning Caymanians.
While that figure is yet to be confirmed, Mr. Green says the recent wave of sargassum will be a priority for this year's summer cleanup.
Not only that we have a need, we also have a situation which is it is now become more rampant to us in the Caribbean, which is the sargassum weed.
He says a nice program can make a difference.
So it's an initiative that suits both the needs of the people who are in need of work and the needs of the government itself to provide suitable tourist destinations and stuff like that.